Greetings, I'm Eric from Montreal, Canada. Very happy to share some thoughts to explore what can we do really different in meditation. And for me, what I really find fascinating is to actually question myself and wonder, who is really meditating in my head? Have you ever wondered how many, people are talking in your head, or how many part of you are talking in your head? Or which part of me is having that conversation? We entertain so many relationships. It can be me, the father, thinking, me, the husband, thinking, me, the employee, thinking. So all these identities that are actually expressing themselves in our mind, we tend to call them sometimes all the little egos of the big ego that never goes anywhere anyway. So it always stays with me. And what I personally discovered in meditation is that ego, when being perceived as an attachment, I would say, to a wrong identity, when I'm really holding on to a position, a name, a role, a desire, an expectation, this becomes really a little bit my ego. Signs of ego are very easy to recognize. I feel offended, I feel humiliated, I feel not respected. Usually that's my ego that doesn't like what's happening. Humility never feels humiliated. Humility never feels disrespected. Humility is sweet. Humility is very silent. Ego barks a little bit like a dog. So what we want to do in meditation is to actually really become aware of our ego, and if possible, tell our ego that he can go, but not in my mind. He can go somewhere else. So the question is, how many egos do I have? And just to give you an example, this could be really a conversation for a long, long time if you want, but a short little insight. For example, there's the ego of the intellect. I think. Sometimes we even say, me, I believe, or me, myself, I believe, something like that. So we really reinforce that it's I believe, I think. And we're really holding on to that thought. We would say it's normal, it's a belief, it's an opinion, but when we get attached to it, it becomes the ego of the intellect. And then we start to argue and feel bad if somebody doesn't respect that idea or doesn't like that idea. Ego of the intellect, and again we can expand for a long time. But there's also the ego of the body, my look. I buy a new shirt today. I'm expecting people to tell me, well, that my shirt is pretty nice. And if somebody says, who gave you that shirt? Is it from your grandfather? You feel, beg your pardon? I just bought it very expensive. I'm getting attached to the look I have. I'm not talking about this particular shirt, but it could be. And so that ego of the body, how I look, my appearance. You know very well the temple for muscles, right? It's called the gym. Well, we can get a little bit attached sometimes to the way we look. And so accordingly, when that look is being challenged or not valued by other people, our ego gets a little bit annoyed. Or our ego makes us become so narcissistic in certain things, in certain aspects of our appearance, then it's really not a recipe for happiness usually. So there are many forms of ego like this. The ego of personality. We can be very, very attached to our personality. Ego sometimes of the religion or the culture. I'm French, much better than many other, right? So ego of the nationality. All these egos, what they create actually are thoughts that are limiting the self. Ego, unfortunately, instead of really creating a bigger self, which we want to, we feel proud, we feel vanity sometimes, we feel superior, but actually that ego is just an illusion, because in reality we're not bigger, we're not better. Ego is actually avoiding us the experience of my true original self, which is self-respect, self-esteem, self-worth. It's a very different feeling to our self-esteem versus arrogance, pride. Self-esteem is not, oh, I'm the best, I'm good, that kind of idea. Self-esteem is, I see in me many qualities, and I'm humble in front of those qualities, so I can use them wisely, and don't have to brag about it, don't have to mention them. I just use them. So self-dignity, self-esteem, self-respect, they really cultivate a sense of being that makes me feel free. I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to prove myself. I don't need to argue about anything with anyone. I'm okay. I'm very happy to hear other opinion. I'm very happy to share my opinion. But if they're different, it's fine. I don't feel offended. So ego tends to really actually create a kind of shrinking mind. Self-esteem expands the mind. And that's what we find is fascinating. And in meditation, what we want is to hear the voice of the original ego, the original self, that speaks in peace, speaks with respect, speaks with patience. The other egos can do exactly the opposite. So when I meditate, I start to create that silence of the mind, and then I want to hear the voice of the original self. And that original self will give me a sense of peace, a sense of respect, a sense of love, and most importantly, a sense of dignity for myself. So meditation is not just about, just being quiet in our mind, but it's exploring and being aware of who is speaking in my mind. What is the voice that I'm hearing? And maybe looking for another voice.